Hello, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and I'm glad that you've joined me. It's a beautiful day, and I've got a lot to talk about this morning. Mostly, this vlog or podcast is going to be me bitching. Sorry about that, but I've got to do it. Every single time that Congress does anything, it affects you and it affects me. It affects our pocketbook, it affects our taxes, it affects our way of living. And right now, they are going through this debt and spending thing again when they should have been working on it several months ago. And now we are at a situation where Congress is going to do a band aid for 30 days. They were supposed to have this done by October 1st. But instead, now they have to wait until October 31st, pass uh, a band aid bill to fund it just for 30 days so they can work on this. Now, they've had many months to work on this, but they've done nothing except go on vacation, talk about impeachment, talk about Ukraine, talk about all this other stuff instead of focusing in on what the need of the government needs to know about spending and to make some very significant cuts in spending. Since the last debt crisis, let me put on my glasses because I am old. You know that. Since the last debt crisis uh, came to an end, this is what has happened since then, okay? Number one, US has added 33 billion in debt per day. Think about that. 33 billion in debt per day. The promise from McCarthy last time and a lot of people spinning this debt crisis thing and coming up with this nothing bill has added more debt to the nation. Hasn't taken away debt, it's added more debt. So the US has added 33 billion in debt per day. Number 2, US paid nearly 3 billion per day of interest expense. Number 3, debt service costs hit its highest level since 2009. Number 4, the US has paid an additional 150 billion of interest. Number 5, US deficit has jumped by over 300 billion. Number 6, US federal tax receipts now down 8.4% on a 12-month basis. Trillions of dollars of debt are being issued at 5% plus interest rates, nearly double the recent low. Interest expense, this is a sad thing that we have to say this. Congress doesn't want to recognize it, but interest expense will soon be our biggest expenditure. Interest expense. So we have to ask the question, is the debt ceiling over? No, it's not. Because Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, as well as the president, do not want to address this debt. And how much more there's, I mean, if you look at that number, how much we're adding more to the debt on every single day, they're doing 33 billion in debt per day. How stupid are we as Americans to allow Congress to get us into such a freaking mess? On top of that, we are spending billions on Ukraine. We have billions of assets, military assets going to Ukraine, and billions of dollars going to Ukraine, to a corrupt nation, to a nation that we should never have been involved in. But Biden got us involved in it. This is not one of our borders that we need to be concerned about. This is a country that has a beef with Putin. America doesn't have a beef with Putin until Biden and Senator Lindsey Graham and other senators made it an issue with Putin. And since this war has started with Ukraine, what has happened? It's affected the farming. It's affected wheat deliveries. It's affected oil deliveries. It's affected, and we can go on with the list of things it's affected. It has killed thousands of Ukrainians, thousands of Russians, and they're still in the same spot they were several months ago. Nothing has changed. Don't believe the lies that's being told to you by this government anymore. But let's get back to what's going on in Congress at the moment. In order for Americans to actually believe that Congress does something for them, Congress has got to significantly cut the costs of the US government. That means cut the spending. 8% isn't going to cut it. You need a lot more. You also need to look at headcount. You have an abundance of headcount employed by the United States government, a lot of them doing redundancy work that other people are doing. You can't do this anymore. You've got wasted money going out in grants that should never be going out. You're giving money to countries that don't even like us. And we can go on with the list, but that list are cuts that you should be making. This is ridiculous. You've got a government that's out of control, constitutionally and financially. So every day that I look at this, I'm getting more and more pissed off and more exhausted. I am politically fatigued by the nonsense that Congress has been doing. So if you are a congressman, if you're listening to me, stop your politics. Both you and Democrats, stop your politics. Sit down at the negotiating table and start negotiating a plan that can reduce the cost of this government. That is your responsibility, to manage this government well, not to get us into debt. Bad management goes debt. Good management goes savings to the American people. This is Mike Lodge. I've had it. I have literally had it. Listen, if you would like to sit down and talk with me on confidential issues regarding your business or personal finance, you can do so by booking me online at www.lodge.co.com. If you have a question, you can send one to me at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. Okay, you guys, call your congressman. Tell them to get their acts together, because enough is enough. Getz and McCarthy, sit down and start negotiating. Stop being politicians and start doing something. Put your egos to the side and literally pound something out. If you need my help, I'll go up there and I'll mediate for you. I wouldn't even charge you for it. I wouldn't even charge the US government for it. But you need to resolve these issues. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. Bye bye.